Hi, it's Darrell from Exchange Blu-ray Imports, and a whole bunch of stuff came in the mail yesterday that I will be opening here, and we can take a look and see what came in, and I will soon have the stuff processed and out on the shelf for you guys to buy. Okay, let's have a look. So this first order is from Germany. First, we have a new addition to the store's inventory. Although I have had the British version of Walter Hill's The Driver for sale for a couple of weeks now, I've also added the German version of Walter Hill's The Driver. It's also released by Studio Canal. You might be wondering, well, why would you bother carrying two versions of the same movie, especially when Blu-ray.com, when they reviewed it, they said, look, these discs are identical, and I've ordered a copy of this before, and I've verified that the discs themselves are identical. Fact is, for whatever reason, you have people that prefer having the British version. They just like having the artwork and the covers and everything being in English. Although, as you can see, not a whole lot of German on this. And then, like I know, like one customer in particular said, "Oh, I don't like seeing like the spines, and having like one or two here or there that are in a different language." But as you can see, the spine says The Driver, and so it's completely like if you were looking at this on a shelf, you would not notice any difference. One thing that you would notice as far as the difference is the price. This is probably going to sell for about 2/3 the price of the British disc. So the value proposition is definitely there. That's why I decided to carry multiple copies, because people want to pay more for the British version. I can accommodate that. If people want to get the German version and save some money, I can do that too. Another title that is a new addition to the store is actually something that I had someone request maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And when I posted about that request coming in, I got some feedback online from people saying, "Oh, hey, that's a really great release." It's a movie called Backlash. It stars Richard Widmark, and it is directed by John Sturges, who some of you probably know from, he directed Bad Day at Black Rock, the Spencer Tracy movie. He's directed a lot of things, obviously, but I feel like probably the reason why people would most know for that, especially among younger cinephiles, is because I know Paul Thomas Anderson always talked about how the Bad Day at Black Rock Laserdisc was really one of those sort of seminal releases for him as far as something that was really important to him as far as his education as an aspiring filmmaker. So yeah, Backlash, John Sturges. So yeah, that's, even though it's not the first time it's been here, it's now being added to the inventory. So something that I'm not ready to put out for sale yet, but I wanted to order one copy of it to kind of take a look at it and make sure that everything is okay. I do that a lot of times. I refer to it as my R&D department, research and development. If I can't find out any info on something, I'll just order a copy, especially if it's like in a sale or the price is just really unusually good. I'll take a chance. And I'd say probably 80–85% of the time, it normally works out okay. I mean, every once in a while, I'll get stuck with something that has forced subtitles or there's an issue with it. But by and large, when I order something for R&D, it normally works out. So what I got is a Western, which I guess it's called Cave of Outlaws, and is directed by William Castle, who, of course, is much more well known as a director who made horror films. He made movies like Tingler, which actually there's a German release of the Tingler recently that I've had some folks asking me about, but it's just really expensive. But and that's the thing, is a lot of times back in those days when you made B pictures, there was a lot of crossover between the genres. I mean, you had directors like Jack Arnold making movies like The Incredible Shrinking Man and Tarantula, but also doing a Western like No Name on the Bullet. It was common for people to, jump from one genre to the other. They weren't as typecast. So here we have a situation where William Castle is a Western, and we're going to check it out. I'm going to take a look at it, and as long as there's no authoring errors and it's English friendly, and I wouldn't have ordered one if I didn't think that there wasn't a market for it. I feel like people will buy this as long as it checks out. But I'm going to take a look at this, and then assuming that the price is right, this is something that'll eventually, as long as everything checks out, will get added to the inventory. So yeah, something exciting to look forward to. And next is another title that began as a request from one of my online regulars. Is a movie called Toys in the Attic. It comes with both the 2D and the 3D versions of the film. It's a computer animated film. It's made with a lot of. It's not drawn in the traditional sense. There is some animation in it, but it's more animated, it's almost more like stop motion kind of. It's a very interesting picture. I put it on for a couple of the kids here in the mall, and they seem to be into it. I thought maybe it might be a little too weird, or it might even be scary a little bit, but no, they were really into it. They liked it. It's a Czech movie on a German Blu-ray, but there is an English audio dub which has voices of acclaimed American actors in some of the various roles. All right, so that's it for this box. Let's move on to the next one and see what else we have. For our next round of boxes, let's see what came here. I believe these are from the UK. One of the sites that I used recently had a sale on a bunch of Arrow titles. And this is really great because a lot of the titles in this sale weren't included in the recent Arrow UK stores sale. So it was a good way to pick up a lot of and get restocks of stuff that had not been included as part of the store sale. So yeah, this is all Arrow stuff, and these are all Vincent Price titles, and most of them are Roger Corman. So we have The Abominable Dr. Phibes, which is not a Roger Corman movie, but it is, and it's actually something I already had, but I wanted to add an additional one because these are pretty popular, and it was a great price. And again, with the stuff with Arrow is that you kind of have to stock up when you can get them at a decent price. It's pretty much like, it's not unusual, to go months without being able to get Arrow stuff at the prices that they've been at the last month and a half. So you got to take advantage while you can. Another one is The Tomb of Ligeia, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Vincent Price, directed by Roger Corman. There was a domestic box set that Shout Factory put out with a bunch of the Vincent Price, Roger Corman movies. And I've actually done multiple boxes of the Vincent Price movies. And the first box is now sold out. And I know that they said before they put that box out, they said that they were not going to be doing standalone releases. And actually, the customer who recommended that I pick these up said that even if they were to do standalone releases, unless they did new versions, the versions in that box don't look as good as the versions that Arrow put out. So it seems to me like offering these was a strong value proposition because not only are these titles from that box no longer available, but even if they were, they don't look as good, as I've been told. I don't know that for a fact myself. So yeah, Tomb of Ligeia and The Fall of the House of Usher and The Haunted Palace. All right, more Arrow from the Arrow sale. So for this one, we have another copy of The Haunted Palace. So yeah, I guess I will have more than one of those. Oh, I have 3. So 3 copies of The Haunted Palace, 2 copies of Sisters by Brian De Palma, which is probably, if not my best-selling title since the store opened, certainly in the top 3 to 5. It's extremely popular. And Dr. Phibes Rises Again. So I have both of those now. All right. So as far as stuff from that Arrow sale, I believe there's still a few more things coming from that sale. But yeah, I'm just trying to load up while I have the opportunity to get that stuff. All right, moving on. This next one is from Germany. Let's see. All right. First up, we have Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan, which I've had in the store before. I haven't had it in a while because the pricing on it was kind of bad. But yeah, I finally figured, like, oh, okay, I guess this is okay now. That's one where, I mean, I guess when you think of Sam Raimi, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people think of, like, you know, the Evil Dead movies and stuff like that. And then also there's probably a whole younger generation that think of, like, Spider-Man. But, you know, he made this movie back in the mid-90s where it was like Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton, like, they come into this bag of money and it's like, it, you know, plays havoc on their life. And it's one of those things that's like, be careful what you wish for. But, you know, it's a good sort of suspense movie. I saw it in the theater, actually, with my girlfriend at the time when it came out. But yeah, it's fun. All right, so this one is the battle. I believe the American title was The Battle of the River Plate, and it's a movie by the Archers, Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. It concerns a real-life incident involving, I believe it was boats during World War II, 1939. There was these various nautical maneuvers that happened. Glenn Erickson, who does DVD Savant, reviewed this I want to say like a month and a half ago. He did a really good job of explaining like all of the technical aspects of like sort of the context of the film, the real life stuff. So yeah, and he gave it a really good review, so that's awesome. I'm always glad when Glenn gets something from here and he actually likes it. But yeah, definitely if you're interested in this, or if you're interested in Powell and Pressburger, you should check out his review and give it a look and see if it's the sort of thing you'd be interested in. It's cool. And let's see what else we have. Oh, and Cobra Woman, which always sells really well. I mean, it's Robert Siodmak, I believe it is the director of this movie. And I feel like it's kind of taken on a new life. I think Tom Anderson, in one of his more recent documentaries, I think there was a segment where he talked about the filming of this. And I feel like that's kind of brought the film to the attention of a new generation. But supposedly, I guess Kenneth Anger has said that this is his favorite movie of all time. And yeah, it's pretty wacky. I mean, you have Maria Montez in a dual role as the female love interest, the leading lady, but also as the villain of the movie. So and Sabu and was it Lon Chaney Jr. I think. So yeah, like I said, always very popular when this comes in. And some people might have noticed. Apparently, at some point, they changed the cover art when they did a new pressing of it. When I initially started carrying Cobra Woman, this was the cover that was being used. And then I guess probably like 6, 8 months ago, I started getting them looking like this. As you can see from the backs are identical, and I believe, to my knowledge, that the discs themselves are identical. So I'm pretty sure the specs on there are the same. And I've had, I think, 2 or 3 of these sold of the new versions, and so far I've yet to have anybody complain about, oh, I thought it was this, and I thought I was going to have that. So yeah, I suspect it's just they changed the cover art. That happens sometimes. But yeah, but no, everybody's been happy with it so far. All right, we have a couple of restocks. One is Neil Jordan's The Crying Game, which got released by BFI, I want to say about 6 months ago. Yeah, I added it to the store's inventory and it sold a couple of weeks ago, so I'm just getting it back in stock, putting it out there. This movie is actually really interesting. I don't want to say too much about it. I mean, I feel like for a lot of people, if you're of a certain age, you kind of already have a sense of what the movie is about. But and for a while there, it kind of got reduced to sort of like as a punchline kind of thing. And the thing is, I was recently reading some of the writing that comes in the booklet, and I was like, wow, yeah, because I've never watched this movie, but I was like, wow, this is a lot more layered and a lot more sophisticated than I'd been led to believe. So yeah, definitely looking forward to making some time to check this out. And also have Dr. Mabuse, the Gambler, the first of Fritz Lang's Dr. Mabuse films. People might be curious, like, oh, why are you carrying that? Like, didn't Kino put that out in the United States? Yes, Kino put it out in the United States. I believe this is one of the titles. There were like 5 or 6 of them that were restorations that were done by the Frederick Wilhelm Murnau. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the last word, but basically the Restoration House. And there was a whole to-do about how the Kino releases were in the wrong aspect ratio, and it actually turns out that it's not like part of the image was kind of like cropped off, but actually they had scrunched the image into this wrong aspect ratio, which is abominable. And so I've been restocking this one. I have not been restocking the other Dr. Mabuse Masters of Cinema release because I remember reading online at some point that Criterion has the rights to that one. So, you know, once it's public knowledge that Criterion has the rights to something, it makes it a lot harder to move it. So, although I suspect there are some people out there who would want to have them as a set. I think to this point, the third Dr. Mabuse film, which I think wasn't until the either late 50s or early 60s, I think to this point it's only been released on DVD. I don't think anybody's actually done a Blu-ray of it. But yeah, so if there's people that, you know, want to pick up the first one and they'd rather have the Masters of Cinema release than the Kino release, I have that. All right, so funny thing about unboxing videos is that you can only unbox something once. We had a little bit of a mishap, and we filmed a couple of these titles being unboxed, unfortunately without any sound. So just to recap what got opened, but that we're not going to show you being opened. One is Abel Ferrara's film of Pasolini. It's about the Italian film director Pier Paolo Pasolini, who's a director that actually carry in the store. We carry about 4 or 5 of his movies. And yeah, so Ferrara, making a film about Pasolini. I think for a lot of people right there, that's okay. That's definitely worth checking out. I have yet to see it yet, though, but I sell a lot of these, so it's definitely interesting. And speaking of things that people are interested in, also received Body Double from Indicator. At the time of this recording, Indicator announced about a week ago that this first printing is out of print. Their first batch that they did is a dual format edition. It comes with a booklet. From this point going forward, what they're going to be selling is going to be Blu-ray only, and it's not going to include the booklet. So I was fortunate enough to order 2 copies of this Body Double, this first printing, like 2 or 3 days before they announced that they were done. So they turned up. I thought long and hard to come up with a very elaborate way of putting these out in the most fair way possible so that people can get them. But because all of that will have happened long before you see this video, I'm not going to bother explaining it. So just rest assured that by the time you watch this, both of these body doubles are long gone. And whoever got them, I'm sure is going to be very happy with them. All right, next unboxing. All right. So this is another title that's a new addition to the store's inventory, is Bernardo Bertolucci's 1900. I ordered 2 copies of this, and one of them came a couple of days ago. But, you know, because I haven't had a chance to, I didn't have one to make into a reference copy and one to put out on the floor. It hasn't been out yet. So it is, at this point, it's still technically a new addition to the store's inventory because it has not been out. So yeah, this is Bertolucci's grandiloquent magnum opus. This is like, what, 6 hours long or something like that. 315 minutes. You know, it's 5 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, this epic multi-generational tale. And yeah, no, it's I definitely felt like, you know, I had people who've been interested in the past, and the thing is that the price was still kind of high. I typically speaking, I don't like to order things if I'm going to have to put them out for more than around $20. So I had to be patient, but I finally felt like, okay, we're at a number now where I can put this out, and you know, people are going to be like, okay, that's a fair price, and they'll buy it. And as a matter of fact, someone already saw this on the board and has asked for dibs on it. So yeah, the first one's already sold, so now I need to order another one so I can actually put it out on the floor. All right, last one for today. Let's see what we got. All right. This is another title that's surprisingly popular. I don't know, that seems kind of like derisive. No, but I think, you know, when I initially decided, oh, I'm going to have like an 80s section where, you know, you get these movies that are sort of like these, you know, I don't want to say cheesy because that's insulting, but these movies that you tend to think of, okay, you associate them with that period. There's a strong nostalgia factor. This is definitely one of the ones that I thought of in that sense, was The Secret of My Success. I believe the director is Herbert Ross. Yes. And stars Michael J. Fox, who at the time was a huge, legitimate box office star. You know, he'd come off of doing Family Ties, and he made his foray into films. And yeah, no, this is definitely one that sells pretty well. But I think part of the key to that is always making sure that it's priced proportionally. You know, it's like I'm not going to go charging people $18 or $20 for this. Yeah, at the right number, it tends to do pretty well. So yeah, here at Foreign Exchange Blue, we have room for all kinds of movies. We have 80s Michael J. Fox comedies, and we have serious art films. Yeah. All right, so that's it for today. That's quite a haul. I think altogether we probably got somewhere close to around 18 or 20 titles. Pretty nice day. So to keep track of everything that's coming into the store, don't forget to like and subscribe the videos, and it really helps to kind of get the word out, which would be awesome. And also, because obviously there's a delay between when these videos are filmed and when they actually go online, if you want to really stay on top of things that are coming in, can't recommend it enough. Definitely, if you're on social media, you're going to want to check out the store's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram pages. Also, there's a thread on criterionforum.org if you go there. If you don't like social media, you can keep track of things. So yeah, however it is that you want to keep tabs on what's coming in, I recommend doing it so you get the stuff processed and out on the floor and your hot little hands. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, have a good one.